So I'll just give you a little update with what's been happening lately on Faint Signals from Vega. You may have been following the community section, and you may have noticed that my channel was demonetized, and that was yesterday or the day before. And they gave me a week, I think it was a couple of weeks actually, to submit a request for an appeal. Isn't this fun? So they said to do a video saying why, some various things that they required to appeal the decision against demonetization. And also, they didn't like the last video that I did, which was about Ukraine. I've done 2 or 3 videos, probably 4 videos about Ukraine or with Ukraine as part of the topic. And so that was, from what I gather, from the information that I saw when it said that my channel, that advertisers don't think my channel is appropriate or something for them. They gave this list of things that they were doing that was about Russian-related media. I don't know if they were trying to tell me that I'm sort of a part of a Russian state media or Russian-related media. I don't know what they were trying to tell me there. They just listed all this stuff they were doing, getting rid of RT and all this kind of stuff. So I'll show you an image of that. That was part of the information why channels are demonetized. And just to be clear, I'm not associated with any state media, and I'm not even associated with any group. It's just me and this doing videos, anti-imperialist leftist videos on this channel. So anyway, so I was demonetized. So I did this appeal video, and you can find the link to that appeal video. It's only 4.5 minutes long. In the community section, I've got a link to it contained within the Substack post that I wrote about this demonetization and remonetization. So they remonetized my site today, said, congratulations, you're again a part of the YouTube partner program. And I was thrilled. Sarcasm alert. And so, just to be clear, I think I probably haven't done any sort of monetizing of my channel for over 2 years now. And the only videos that I did monetize were very old ones, and there was probably about 10 or 12 that I did, and they were a couple of them were 2 or 3 of them were vegan videos, so that I could, if I did raise any money, I could give it to the local vegan rescue sanctuary down here. But as some would know, unless you're getting huge numbers of subscribers, you get I haven't raised enough to probably have a cup of coffee. But I did actually get a number of super chats from one particular member of Faint Signals from Vega, Herb, and thank you, Herb. And I thought that when they demonetize that you have to reach $100 before you can claim that money. And I had not reached that. I think Herb might have given me, say, 10 different donations that were around $5 and stuff like that. I think it added up to about $50 or $60. And I thought, oh, this is great. They've demonetized me, and now I don't get to collect that money that Herb kindly gave me in the super chats. Well, so that was particularly special when they demonetized me. I thought, oh, great, they get to keep all my super chats, the very little money that I made from the channel. So from the my live streams. Anyway, it turns out they remonetized me. There's no explanation as usual. Social media, Silicon Valley giants don't treat you like children. They take things away, they give them back. They take things away, they give them back, and they don't tell you, and they hope that you'll lose everything, which, if they, I don't know if one day they're going to just delete my channel, because, I think they just remonetize me because they think, well, she's old and she's not going to get anywhere, particularly with our algorithm censorship and stuff, so, may as well just give her back the channel. I don't know what their thinking was. Who knows? And, that's, the monetization thing was probably not something that particularly bothered me, because I really don't tap into that. But the idea that maybe they were going to start giving me a really hard time about talking against NATO and giving the real news about Ukraine. Not the regurgitated U.S. national security state talking points about Ukraine, but real information. And they don't want that information out there. And even an insignificant channel like my own, obviously that what I was doing was enough to alert their algorithms that I was maybe it was the post about the volunteer, the US volunteer, who said don't come to Ukraine because they give you a rifle with 10 rounds in it, and they send you on suicide missions and threaten to murder you if you don't go on those missions. I mean, that was from what I posted that in good faith, and I believe that is a real video by a volunteer who is trying to warn other people who are volunteering to fight in this Ukrainian with the Ukrainian army against Russia. I mean, I don't know why on earth people would do that, but there you go. So, it might have been that. They may have found that to be, just there was a lot of views of that particular video that I posted, and I got that off Twitter. And I thought it was important to repost that, because it just shows that this is, as that man said, that volunteer said, it's a trap. And I think the U.S. government wants people to go there and probably get killed so that they can say, look what the Russians have done. They've killed all these people. I mean, that volunteer was saying there was a lot of people were killed, that were joining these volunteer things and then being forced to go and do on suicide missions and stuff. I think the U.S. government is more than happy to treat Ukraine as cannon fodder. That includes the civilians there who live there, and that includes any volunteer fighters who go there, because then they can always blame it on Russia. And so anyway, and the thing I was going to share with you today is something from a U.S. civilian who lives in Kharkiv. Now, I don't know much about his background, and I think that he does spin some conspiracy stuff about COVID, but I'm going to put the COVID stuff aside, because I think that his reporting on what's happening in Ukraine, in Kharkiv, is, I'd say that's fairly, from when I compare that his reporting to what I've heard from reliable reports, I'd say that he is fairly accurate. So I'm going to share some of that, and that's probably tempting fate to continue to talk about Ukraine, but my channel is an anti-imperialist channel. It's anti-war, and it's anti-capitalist, and so this is what I do on this channel. So if I put out another video about Ukraine and suddenly you find that I'm gone, or in a week or so I've been deleted or demonetized again or whatever, it'll be once again my videos about Ukraine. So it's sad. It's sad that this is where we are now, but that's how it is, and I think it's only going to get worse. And I think, as someone said to me recently, they said that they think that YouTube doesn't actually really want to have political commentary, political content anymore. I think they just want to have, I think they've got enough people talking about fluff, makeup tutorials. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things, but I'm talking about, as far as changing the world, they're probably, kitten videos and sort of makeup videos and all that kind of stuff. Even recipe stuff and all that. Recipe, I guess, is helpful if you're trying to go vegan and you're looking for plant-based recipes. But, I'm just saying that, I think they want to have a whole lot of whatever will bring in the most amount of people and is not challenging, and something that their advertisers will be happy to put their ads with. They're not, their advertisers, they say, they probably don't like anything that goes against the U.S. national security state narrative too, because they don't want to get in trouble. I mean, the pressure on corporations to submit and go along with these ridiculous sanctions on Russia, which are not going to work in the end. If you watch some of my videos about those sanctions, in fact, they will backfire, and they're backfiring on corporations that the U.S. supposedly isn't targeting. They're making the oil industry very rich, so they're rubbing their hands together. They're making the weapons industry, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing, and all of that. They're making them very wealthy, but that's typical, and that's their donors. The capitalist class, the political class, their donors are these weapons industries and big pharma and all of that. So they're keeping their donors happy by saber rattling against China, and eventually they'll do what they're doing to Russia, to China. China will be next, but this thing in Ukraine is really for the weapons industry, for U.S. full spectrum dominance. They want to do a regime change in Russia against Vladimir Putin and destroy the Russian economy. And so that's one less ally that China has. So, they're trying to separate Russia from China, because China and Russia have become great allies economically, militaristically, and all of that. So, there's a whole lot of different things happening, but you can guarantee that it has nothing to do with Ukraine being some sovereign country, that they want to protect the rights of Ukrainians. I mean, if they really believed that, they wouldn't have helped with back the coup that happened in 2014, and the awful things that happened after that coup in 2014 in Ukraine. And Biden was one of the people that helped arrange that coup. It's just a nonsense. It hasn't really been a sovereign state since then. And Zelensky, by the way, just recently has gotten rid of 11 opposition parties. And one of them, I think, had like about 45 members in parliament. So, I mean, that guy, he's linked arms with the Azov Nazi battalion. He was even funded, I think, by a neo-Nazi with his campaign. So he is, he basically is getting rid of any opposition, and that would suit the Biden administration just fine, thanks very much. And I mean, the Biden administration is Biden and his associates are whispering in Zelensky's ear, and Zelensky's just going along with it because he has something to gain from all of this. So, I mean, it's so sad because all you see is the propaganda of the corporate media every single day, and you see people retweeting and reposting and just constantly sharing this ridiculous propaganda. I mean, war is bad, and it was really unfortunate that Russia invaded Ukraine, but it's also very unfortunate that Russia felt an existential crisis with NATO for decades, coming closer and closer to their border, and missiles being pointed at them, and they knew that, and I think they could see the writing on the wall, and then they did this extreme move, and it's not excusable, but it's totally understandable from where I am. So NATO has caused this whole invasion, and contrary to the corporate media, the Russians are prevailing in this war, and they haven't even really been trying all that much. They have been apparently trying not to destroy the spring planting that happens this year. They've been trying not to. If they wanted to, they could have just razed towns to the ground. Zelensky would have been dead in the first day. All that kind of stuff. They have actually been trying to deal with the army and surround the army in those cauldrons that the Russians are famous for in their military strategies. They surround armies and they pressure them to either give up or something, or I don't know. Then if they don't, then it's not great. What happens next? And war is awful. And I think the whole thing is incredibly sad because there's a lot of people already dead from this on both sides. So it's going to take a lot. And I think Ukraine's going to be politically, it's going to be in a much worse state than what it was before this situation. I think Zelensky is just, he's obviously just a puppet of the US government, and I don't know what the plans would be for, that Russia have, but I think they wanted Ukraine to be neutral, so they're not part of NATO, and so they don't feel this existential threat that they're going to be invaded and whatever. So what concerns me, though, is the possibility that there could be some nuclear involvement, and that would be mutually assured destruction for everybody. And the insanity is too that Zelensky has been pressuring to have a no-fly zone, and if they have a no-fly zone, that is guaranteed nuclear war. And there are people who are in Congress who are calling for a no-fly zone, which just says that they don't know anything. They're in Congress and they don't know a thing. The American public have been polled, and they've said, oh yes, a no-fly zone is good. A lot of them have said that. And then you read to the end of the poll, and they haven't even been explained to what that means and what that could eventuate in. So it's the level of propaganda is unbelievable. I don't remember, because I was very busy at the time in Sydney in a new hospital I was in, and I went on the march against the Iraq War, but I didn't see all the mainstream media, corporate media propaganda at the time, sort of pushing for war, which they're doing right now, pushing for war against Russia, trying to get Biden to take some extreme measures and stuff. And I didn't see that at the time, but I can imagine it was probably similar at the time, but I think maybe it's actually worse. The corporate media is actually pushing even more so. And they're pushing for war against a nuclear power that has more nuclear weapons than than the US, but it doesn't matter because even one would create a tremendous, destruction and, easily, they're way more powerful than they were when the US dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So anyway, it's kind of crazy, for want of a better word. I'm sorry I'm not trying to be ableist, but it's kind of like a demented, unhinged thing that's going on. And nothing would surprise me what happens with my channel either. Like I can put this out and then the algorithms rip through the video and they recognize different words and they know I'm talking about Ukraine. And who knows what extra level of suppression will happen. I wanted to also thank people for joining this channel who have done this recently. I decided this recently in recent times, it's just really in the last few days, I decided to actually put out a request for people to subscribe to the channel because I'm sick and tired of this, what appears to be, and I can't say for sure, I'm just guessing, but I'm just going by the last 12 months, what appears to be a subscriber cap on this channel of 1650. Every time it gets above 1650, whether it's 4 or 5 or 3, it immediately starts to go backwards, literally the next day. If it got up to 67, which is the highest it's been, 1657, it's the highest it's been in ages, and then it immediately started going back again. So I thought, I'm not going to let this happen again. It's been going on for 12 months. I've been watching it go back and forth and always going to 1650 again and below. So I just thought, no, I'm not going to let this happen. This isn't normal. And so I decided to put out some tweets and maybe and a Substack post requesting if people could consider joining the channel to break through this, what appears to be an algorithm subscriber cap. Now, like I say, I cannot vouch that, I cannot say for sure this is happening, and this is what is problematic about the lack of transparency with these Silicon Valley giants. They do what they want to do, and they suppress anti-imperialist stuff, that is for sure. And they've also deleted, I think they deleted 15,000 videos or something about Ukraine that they didn't like, and they also I think they sort of deleted 1,000 channels or something. It was something to that effect. So that were interfering with the corporate U.S. national security state narrative about Ukraine. So there you go. This whole idea of free speech. You can say anything you want on the internet, but we won't be seeing it because the algorithms will make sure we won't be seeing it, or the Silicon Valley social media platforms will just block them, ban them, or shadow ban them or whatever. So this whole fantasy that there's free speech online is long gone, if ever there was such a thing. After all, the internet was really created by the military, so in some ways it's not surprising that it's ended up like this in a way. If you read Yasha Levine's Surveillance Valley book about the internet, I haven't finished it, but it was very interesting up until the point that I did read it, and I hope to finish it in the future. But anyway, so I wanted to thank the people who have joined just recently. I really appreciate you doing so. You've probably seen my requests, and it's now 1664, which is obviously the highest it's ever been. It's never been able to get past the 1650 thing. So I really appreciate that, and I'm hoping that you will consider telling your friends to please check out this channel, and if they think that the content is worthwhile, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that algorithm bullshit that helps get these videos, gets these channels, the subscribers, gets these channels seen, basically. Without all that sort of what I consider just nonsense, like jumping through hoops, without all of that, it doesn't really break through the algorithms. And even with that, it still has great trouble with it. I mean, YouTube has sort of said that they're only interested in real valid news, and they consider that corporate media, and all the other stuff, all the independent media, they consider that, I think, fake news. So they say that they favor, the algorithms totally favor the corporate media, and all the other stuff is they do their best to try and make sure people don't see it. So anyway, thanks so much for joining and subscribing, and I hope that you will invite others to do so. I would like to get, in the next few months, I would really like to get to 2,000. I know that's a lot, particularly, I'm just a small channel, and, I'm not really a journalist, but, I do my best to try and pick news and pick pick different things that are happening that I think are important for people to focus on. It's stuff that that jumps out at me, and this is more of a channel for people that already have some understanding of things. I don't go into all great detail about anything. I pick different independent journalist issues, and then I kind of make a commentary about it. But I pick things that I think people who are already to some extent in the know, I pick that out so that we can both focus on that. And that's what I try to do. And also I do vegan videos, which are very important to me. Veganism is an ethical position, and we all need to consider that animals are not our property, and that we need to stop using them. So that is something that I will also do, probably every 7 or 8 videos. So hopefully that won't, for anybody who's joined, be prepared that might come up, and try not to have a reflexive action if you're not vegan and think, oh no, I don't want to have to think about that, and then unsubscribe. Just, if you're not interested in that, if that doesn't speak to you, or you don't think that has any value, just skip over that. But I feel like it's all connected. Our speciesism, our domination of vulnerable groups, that being non-human animals, the largest and most invisible group on the planet, is totally related to all the colonization and patriarchal capitalist exploitation and domination of vulnerable peoples, indigenous peoples, black people, etc., and all basically any country that is in the crosshairs of the U.S. empire. So it's all interconnected. Speciesism equals racism, equals sexism, equals heterosexism, equals ableism. They're all faces of the same ignorance, and they all cause violence. So that's why I talk about veganism. So anyway, that's all I'll say for now. I don't know if I might do this, show you this video of this man from Kharkiv who is talking about how the Russians are prevailing, and that he thinks that, and I've said this myself too. I said about a couple of weeks ago that, or is it a week or so ago, I thought that there was going to be a false flag that the US through via either Al-Qaeda or HTS group coming in to fight with the Ukrainian army, invited in, which is great. The Al-Qaeda, and the Nazis together, how wonderful. And the funding of that, funding Nazis, it's just like the moderate rebels in Syria, that it's going to end up, they're trying to set up a Syria situation where they're funding terrorists and they're funding Nazis to create a kind of a Vietnam situation for the Russians in Ukraine. But that, and with that, it's probably going to be one of those groups that's going to, they might be filming it right now, just like they did in Syria when they found out those videos of those children dying and all of that. Was filmed by the White Helmets. The White Helmets who are basically, one day they're sort of al-Nusra, and they're a terrorist group, and the next thing they're pretending to be White Helmets. Well, they were staged false flag events, which the US continues to maintain, and the corporate media continue to maintain were real, even though they were not. And the same thing is probably going to happen in Ukraine, because Russia is prevailing, but the US is telling everybody that the Ukrainians are fighting a brave fight and stuff, and it's not, and that maybe they are, some of them, but they're not winning, and they couldn't possibly win against the Russian army. They're if the Russians really wanted to, they could have finished it in very short order, but they've been, as I said, they've been trying to surround these Ukrainian forces and deal with them and try and get them to surrender. But because the Russians are winning, they want to try and create, the US is hoping probably, and this is all speculation, but I think they're hoping to create a false flag so that then they can say, look, the Russians released these bioweapons from these 36 bioweapons labs in Ukraine, and look, they've killed Ukrainians, look how evil they are, because the Russophobia is off the charts at the moment, and so, that is, the closer that Russia gets to prevailing, and the closer Russia gets to winning in Ukraine, the more likely it is that there's going to be a false flag bioweapons attack on Ukrainians. So that is very, very unfortunate, but it looks like that's going to happen, and this is what this guy has also said. He thinks that as well. So I'm hoping that isn't the case, but I wouldn't put anything past the US and the CIA's involvement in this. And so it's looking like that might be the case. So if there is a bioweapons attack on Ukrainians, it won't be the Russians, because they're winning anyway, and I don't think it wasn't in their intention of destroying Ukraine anyway. it will be either the Nazis or the Al-Qaeda, and their new name I think is HTS or something, who have come into Ukraine and are funded by the US. They are most likely going to carry out that, and then it'll be more excuse to do more things to Russia, to sanction them more, even though those sanctions won't work in the end. In fact, China is helping them in some ways circumvent them, and also it actually is going to strengthen the economy in Russia, according to the central bank who was sanctioned. So anyway, it is scary because it is sort of the fever pitch of the corporate media, sort of drumming up all kinds of stories. I mean, you can't tell what is true and what is not, and they're putting out so many stories and so much demonization as if the Russian army is absolutely... I'm not sticking up for the Russian army, I'm not saying they're this or that, but you just know that the corporate media, when they want war, they try and demonize the target country and make out that everybody that lives in that, everybody who is everybody that is involved is some sort of a monster that has no soul. Look at what Biden said to Putin. I mean, the idea is to dehumanize those that group so that you can do whatever you want. And unfortunately, a lot of people have fallen for that propaganda. And that either shows that they already had those seeds of racism in them, or that seeds of Russophobia in them, or it just means that the propaganda was so powerful over the last few years that it's done its job, and it's probably a bit of both. Anyway, so I might show this next bit with this person, and do a little bit of commentary, or I might just leave it here. So I'll have to decide after I finish this vid. So thanks for watching. Please stay tuned, and if there is nothing at the end, thanks so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it, and until next time, bye for now.